What did Friedrich Nietzsche mean when he said, "God is dead"? Was he attacking religion? Was he celebrating atheism? Or was he warning us about something bigger? Let's find out. It's the year 1883. Nietzsche, a bold German philosopher, writes the famous words in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, God is dead. At first, this might sound like he is saying God no longer exists. But Nietzsche wasn't talking about a real God dying. He was talking about how people's belief in God was fading. To understand why he said this, we need to look at what was happening in the world at that time. In the late 19th century, Europe was changing fast. Science was growing. People were questioning religion more. Darwin's theory of evolution made many rethink creation. The Industrial Revolution moved people from villages to big cities, where life was less connected to faith. Religion had been the foundation of morality and meaning for centuries, but now it was losing power. People were no longer sure about right and wrong, or life's purpose. So when Nietzsche said, God is dead, he meant that the traditional belief system that guided society was collapsing. The old moral rules were disappearing, and people were left wondering what to believe in. Think of it this way: for centuries, religion told people what was good and bad. It gave them comfort and purpose. But what happens when that structure is gone? What if there is no higher power to guide us? This is what Nietzsche worried about. He feared that without religion, people would fall into nihilism, the belief that life has no meaning. If there is no God, then what stops people from losing all hope or moral values? But here's the twist. Nietzsche wasn't celebrating this change. He wasn't saying, hooray, no more religion. In fact, he was deeply concerned about what would come next. Other great thinkers also wrestled with this problem. Dostoevsky, the Russian novelist, warned in The Brothers Karamazov that if God does not exist, everything is permitted. He feared that without religious morals, people might do anything they wanted. Soren Kierkegaard, a Christian philosopher, believed losing faith was a crisis. He argued that people needed to believe in something bigger to find meaning. Jean-Paul Sartre, on the other hand, saw this as an opportunity. He believed that, without God, humans had the freedom to create their own purpose in life. So Nietzsche wasn't alone in thinking about what happens when belief in God disappears. But if Nietzsche feared nihilism, did he have a solution? Yes, he introduced the idea of the will to power. He believed that instead of falling into despair, people should take control of their own lives. Instead of following old religious rules, they should create their own values. And this is where he introduced the idea of the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman. The Übermensch is the person who rises above nihilism, who creates their own meaning, and who lives with strength and creativity. Nietzsche wasn't saying, do whatever you want. He wasn't promoting chaos. Instead, he was calling for a new way of living, where people take responsibility for their own morals instead of following old traditions blindly. But here's where things get tricky. Nietzsche's ideas have been misunderstood for years. Some people have twisted his concept of the Übermensch to justify power-hungry leaders. Others think he hated religion completely, but that's not true. He was more interested in what happens when traditional beliefs lose their power. His question was simple. If we can no longer rely on God, then what will we rely on? How do we find meaning in life when old beliefs no longer work? So, when we hear God is dead, we shouldn't just think of it as an attack on religion. It's a deep idea about how human thinking has changed. It's a warning about losing meaning, but also a challenge to create something new. The big question Nietzsche leaves us with is this: are we ready to take on that responsibility? What do you think? Can we create our own values, or do we still need something bigger to guide us? Let's discuss in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into Nietzsche's ideas, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Namowise for more deep discussions on philosophy and life's biggest questions.